Hey everyone, welcome. I am so incredibly excited to guide you through today's explainer. You know, we usually think about intelligence in really public terms, don't we? We picture getting straight A's, absolutely crushing a presentation at work, or being the wittiest person in the room at a dinner party. But psychology actually tells a completely different story. True intelligence isn't always revealed in your grades or public achievements. In fact, some of the absolute clearest, most fascinating signs of a highly capable mind pop up when literally nobody is watching. Think about it. What you do alone reveals how your mind naturally operates when you completely strip away social pressure, performance anxiety, or the need for external validation. And as we're going to see today, certain completely solitary behaviors are surprisingly linked to rare forms of intelligence. So let's dive right into this core question. Where does true intelligence hide? I want to challenge you right now to really think about what your brain naturally defaults to doing when you close the door, the room goes quiet, and there is absolutely zero social validation on the line. When you don't have to perform for anyone, what does your mind do? Does it just shut down? Or does it switch gears into something entirely different? As we break down the psychology today, you might just recognize some of your own hidden superpowers. All right, let's look at trait number 1, analyzing over just remembering. Okay, picture this. You are staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., and for some reason, you are meticulously dissecting a brief 2-minute chat you had with a barista 14 hours ago. You're replaying the exact wording, you're thinking about the tone, you're trying to figure out their reactions, and wondering if there was some hidden meaning behind the exchange. Come on, have you ever done this? Long after an interaction officially ends, your mind just refuses to let it go. Now compare that to common behavior. Usually, folks just leave a conversation and pretty much forget it the second they walk out the door. The interaction served its purpose, it's done, moving on. But rare intelligence, that operates a bit differently. You are replaying the wording, the tone, the hidden meaning. You're not just remembering the conversation, you're actively studying it. You aren't just emotionally recalling that it felt awkward or pleasant, you are analytically breaking it down to its absolute core components. And psychology links this exact behavior to something called reflective processing. So if you catch yourself doing this alone, cut yourself some slack. You aren't just overthinking or being overly anxious. Your brain is actually in a highly analytical state. It's examining social patterns and hunting for deeper meanings to map out human behavior. It's this incredibly sophisticated way your mind learns and adapts, and it does all this heavy lifting entirely in the quiet of your own space. Moving right along to trait number 2, curiosity without practical purpose. Here's a scenario I think a lot of you focused learners are going to relate to. A tiny, random question pops into your head out of absolutely nowhere. And suddenly, bam, you find yourself 3 hours deep into a Wikipedia rabbit hole, researching exactly how medieval locks were made. You don't work in security, you are definitely not a historian, you literally have zero practical use for this information in your daily life, yet you are completely captivated by the mechanics of 14th century ironwork. Contrast this with common behavior, which is usually highly functional, right? We generally only seek out useful, strictly practical information. You look up how to fix a leaky faucet because your sink is currently leaking. But rare intelligence is marked by deeply exploring totally unrelated topics just for the sake of understanding them. You randomly research things for no practical reason, simply because the question dared to enter your mind. Psychology points to these random deep dives as intrinsic curiosity. It's a psychological drive where the actual act of learning itself becomes inherently rewarding, completely regardless of whether it's useful. You don't only seek functional info, you seek understanding. And honestly, this shows a mind that is constantly hungry. It's deeply self-motivating, and it views the whole world as this massive interconnected puzzle just waiting to be solved. Which leads us to trait number 3, the constant internal dialogue. Let me set the scene for this one. You're pacing around your room, having a full-blown, rigorous debate with yourself. Maybe you're muttering out loud, maybe it's entirely inside your head. You are debating ideas, simulating complex future scenarios, questioning your own assumptions. Or maybe you're mentally explaining a really complicated concept to an imaginary audience. Your mind feels incredibly active, just buzzing with conversation, even when you're totally by yourself. Now, the common baseline here often looks like experiencing mental quiet, or a kind of blankness when alone, like a mental screensaver, if you will. But rare intelligence is characterized by maintaining a constantly active, processing internal dialogue. You are almost always running the gears. You aren't just thinking occasionally. Your mind is basically a 24/7 engine of conversation and analysis. This nonstop internal chatter is known as cognitive organization.
And here's the cool part. Psychology suggests this isn't a sign of being distracted, it's a profound tool. It strengthens your reasoning, builds incredible self-awareness, and organizes complex, abstract thoughts. It's really your brain's sophisticated method of sorting the filing cabinets and pressure testing ideas before they ever see the outside world.
So, if your mind is this loud, this active, and this constantly engaged in dialogue, it brings up a very important paradox. Why do highly active minds crave so much silence? Think about it. If there is a constant, rigorous debate happening internally, why is physical solitude so incredibly important to highly intelligent people?
Well, that takes us straight to trait number 4, solitude and deep immersion.
Look at the common behavior. Often being alone is automatically viewed as lonely or draining. Like without people around, the energy just vanishes. But people with rare intelligence see silence completely differently. It's refreshing mental space that allows the brain to finally expand. Psychology shows that highly intelligent people actually tend to require less external stimulation. Because their internal world is already so rich and active, they desperately need uninterrupted mental space. The silence doesn't drain you, it actually gives your brain the physical room it needs to operate at full capacity, which results in suddenly losing hours of your day. Have you ever had a moment where you grab onto one abstract idea, and that one thought cascades into a dozen others, and before you even realize it, the sun has gone down and hours have literally vanished? Time disappears entirely because you are just so intensely immersed in exploring deep, meaningful ideas completely on your own.
The psychological term for this is deep cognitive immersion. See, your brain doesn't always want to think in short, easily digestible bursts. Sometimes it needs to disappear into the deep end. This intense, prolonged focus on abstract ideas is where true intellectual heavy lifting happens. Losing hours like this isn't a distraction. It is a profound state of immersion where your true intelligence is fully unleashed.
All right, let's wrap this all up with Section 5, redefining true intelligence.
Let's map this all out. Replaying those old conversations. Society loves to call it overthinking, but we know it's actually reflective processing. Researching random medieval locks, people might say it's a waste of time, but really it's intrinsic curiosity. Talking to yourself constantly, it looks a little weird from the outside for sure, but it's actually cognitive organization. And preferring to be alone so you can lose hours in thought, society might label that as being antisocial or spaced out, but the psychology reveals it as a genuine need for mental space and deep cognitive immersion. Literally, every single one of these solitary actions maps directly to a psychological superpower.
And that brings us to the core takeaway from the source material we covered today. Sometimes intelligence is hidden in what your mind does when you're completely alone. These behaviors might seem strange from the outside looking in, but they reveal a mind that simply refuses to stop working. It keeps exploring, it keeps analyzing, and it keeps learning, even when nobody's asking it to. Because true intelligence, it isn't just a social performance for a crowd. It's a deep internal drive. So I'll leave you with this final thought. What is your mind exploring when nobody is watching? The very next time you find yourself pacing the room, deep down a random rabbit hole, or rigorously analyzing a 2-minute chat, do not dismiss it. Recognize it for what it truly is, your highly intelligent mind doing exactly what it was built to do. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and absolutely embrace the brilliant things your mind does in the quiet.